Hey guys, I'm Ethan, co-owner and cinematographer here at Orange Video.
And I'm V, co-owner and producer here at Orange Video, a full-service video production company based in Tallahassee, Florida. And in today's video, we're going to talk about our first year in the office, how we built it, and how we got here.
So we got to walk through the space with the landlord and with our commercial realtor, Brett Miller, who did a great job finding a space for us and got us in. V wasn't completely sold on it after seeing it because it was dirty and dingy and just a mess. So I went home and put together like a floor plan, brought it into Google SketchUp and made a 3D model. And I was able to take that and look at a rendering within a program called Enscape. So we were able to look at this space into like what it could be. And it was very modern and chic.
Too chic for me at first in the initial designs.
Too much for V, but still he was able to then visualize the space as it could be for us.
So Ethan and I don't have any formal construction skills or abilities. Ethan does woodworking on the side, so he's more handy than I am. We didn't have any clue what we were doing, but we were learning as we go, watching YouTube videos and taking advice from anybody that would give it to us.
And there were a few sections of the build that we had professionals come and do things that they needed to. But for the most part, it was V and I and friends and family.
Day one, that same day we got the keys. Later on that evening when everybody finally left, we were able to start pulling up carpet and it was tough.
We ran into the carpet. There was 7 or 8 different types of tile on the floor and different places throughout the office. It was just a lot to deal with. And, you know, what we thought was like maybe some vinyl tile and laminate flooring, stuff like that, turned out to be actually like ceramic tile that was like glued onto the floor. We ended up renting like a deck hammer with a chisel on the end, kind of lift up the tiles, and we had to clear away all the rubble. Just a whole lot of mess everywhere.
And at this point, my dad came up from Panama City. We're from a 2-hour drive. He came up to help us. My wife was pitching in, our family was pitching in, our friends and family. So it wasn't just us. You know, at night, it would just be Ethan and I just trying to chisel away at some of the things we could do. But we had some help along the way.
We should talk about the wood floor that was at the kitchenette. It was the most glue I've ever seen, ever.
Lots of glue.
It was like the hardest part of removing floor. You know, we had the jackhammer and we were putting our entire body weight into just getting a tiny little sliver of this wood floor up.
There was 3 of us that night, you, me, and my dad, and we would just take turns doing 1 or 2 pieces of planks of wood because it was that intensive on the body. So we were tired.
Yeah, it was hard. So we finally got that done. I know there was like cabinets and countertops along the whole hallway in the back. So we ripped those out. There was a million screw holes in the wall from where they had tried to find the studs.
They missed all the studs.
So we had to, you know, spackle that, sand it, and paint later on. V called in
we rented some trash bins. They're red E-bins.
Singular.
And we rented it for a certain amount of time. I picked the least amount of time, the cheapest. So you had it for a certain time. You could fill it up as much as you could in that time, and they would pick it up at the end of that time frame. So I made sure that we had enough trash piled up before I gave them the call. They came out, we dropped everything in, and then they picked it up maybe 1 or 2 days later. So it was quick. That very initial, demolition push was very fast.
So there's also like the whole half wall, pony wall thing that we had to knock down. That left a big like beam running up the side of the road that your friend Kyle came in and took that out for us and patched that up, made it look really good. I know there's also like the bathrooms to tackle. We ripped out the toilet and sink, and both of them got the floors up. And then we ended up plugging up one of them because we knew we wanted to turn one of them into a utility closet.
All the extra storage in our office was going towards gear, and so we needed that little extra space in that bathroom to put like toilet paper, cleaning supplies and whatnot.
Yeah, so I think during that time we also started painting. I think we started with like the conference room. We painted it all black because we thought it was going to be a studio space for us. Move on down the road and we had to repaint it. But anyway, so it got all black. There was like one little light hanging from the ceiling. It looked like an interrogation room. It was funny.
From the Dark Knight. It was scary in there. It was just swinging every now and then too.
In the rendering, the ceilings are nice and black, but what we moved into was these nasty white tiles with like this black grid, and then these huge fluorescent lights. So we knew that we needed to change all that. So we thought the best way to do that would be to take down all the ceiling tiles, roll them out back, and then, put them back up installed. But there was a few problems with that. One is like the paint rollers don't get into the holes because like acoustic tiles don't get into all the little holes. So we decided to spray it, was a bad sprayer that didn't work. We finally got a new sprayer, sprayed them all. Okay, it looks good enough. We throw them in the ceiling and half of them break getting put in there. Half of them just get smudged up with, our hands and stuff. It leaves marks. It's like flat paint.
So I did the math, and I think it was going to be $2,000 to $3,000 to get the ceiling tiles, like purchase black ceiling tiles to replace, as opposed to maybe $400 to $500 of paint. So I went with that cheaper option. But looking back, the ceiling tiles became one of the most painful processes because we took them down, we put them up. We took them down, and had to put them back up. And then we had to buy a new sprayer and spray them in place.
Yeah.
And then we had to mask out the entire building with drop cloth down the ceiling so we don't hit the walls that have been painted or are going to be painted.
Yeah, and meanwhile, there was the big nasty fluorescent lights that we knew we needed to change. So we found some nice LED thin recessed lights at Home Depot. We did those ourselves because I have a little bit of electrical knowledge, but we would recommend having a professional come out. About that time, after we were getting the walls and ceilings done and wrapped up, we had a professional come in to do our cement floor, because if you go in like Walmart or Home Depot, the floor is like this nice industrial cement flooring and it looks awesome, but that's not how cement normally naturally looks. It takes a lot to get there, and even more if there was a ton of like floor glue and just a ton of
Ours was pretty gross at the time.
Yes.
At that time it was all adhesive. There were still a lot of blocks that couldn't come off. Like they just were impossible to remove. And there were a lot of uneven spots in the ground. So there was a lot to go through. And some people may say, hey, you can just use it like it is, but there was no way we would have had anybody in here. It looked like unfinished flooring.
So we had Eric from Southern Concrete and Grinding come in because we thought maybe we could do it, but we knew that was what we needed to go, have a professional come in. Imagine like vacuuming your floor, but in slow motion, because he had to grind the cement down just to get it flat and even. And so that works, like you're sanding wood. You start with like a lower grit sandpaper and work your way up to get it smoother and smoother. So you have to do that with cement. So he had different discs. You'd have to do multiple different passes. He finally did that. There's like a lubricating water that has to spray. Anyway, the whole thing sounded like a tornado. So our neighbors weren't happy with us. As V says, this train don't stop. So we had to get the job done. Then we also had to polish the floor and make it nice and shiny.
There was no way we would have been able to do that. It would have been done right.
No, if done at all. So after he got that taken care of, like I said, all the walls and everything was already painted. So we were able to add the baseboard trim. It's like the little rubber or vinyl stuff that you roll out. It comes in like this big heavy roll you roll out.
That also hides the imperfection, right, of where the paint meets the floor.
I think around this time, we had like the bare bones of an office up. It's like a skeleton. It was starting to shape up, but there's no furniture or anything. So in the midterm, V grabs a picnic table, fold-out table, and like a lawn chair, and calls me in his office for meetings. It's what we have at the time. We had to get work done.
We were still in the middle of pre-production for a lot of projects, for video projects, and so I was still taking phone calls. Ethan and I were still meeting to discuss, shot list, scripts, and concepts. And so we had the internet installed the first or second week we were in the office because we knew we needed a stable connection to do work.
So around this time also, I think we had our front sign come out. What do you call it? Like a storefront sign?
Yeah.
It was like this big brushed aluminum, like kind of square sign with a black decal with our logo. We were trying to match the same style that some of the other tenants on our plaza had.
My wife and my sister were here. I called them over and said, it was a big moment for us. It was the first time we kind of introduced ourselves to the world. We were getting texts from people saying, hey, Orange Video's up. Like they were taking pictures from the road.
One of the other things that was like dire that we need to get up, because we had a ton of equipment between the two of us in our houses and stuff, and we needed somewhere that we could store all that gear so that when we got calls to go on these jobs, it was easy to grab and go. So one of the first things we did is got these really nice gear shelves up. They're like cobalt shelves from Lowe's, and the way we put them up, they're like these like metal with like these racks, but we cut out some plywood to put in there, so we had like a tabletop to turn them into like a workbench.
It's a workstation. Thing. It's a workstation / gear shelf. We replaced the hallway cabinets with that gear shelf, and it's been awesome.
All right, so we're now at a point where our office is starting to come together. It's getting functional, but we need furniture. We have no furniture in here.
So, what's modern, what's cheap? IKEA. So we made the 2.5 hour drive to Jacksonville, our closest IKEA. And before we even got there, I told Ethan, there's no way we can spend a whole day going through the warehouse, picking things. So me and him went through the IKEA website, ordered everything online, and had it ready for pickup. So we took our enclosed trailer over to Jacksonville. My wife came with us that day, and they brought out 2 pallets full of furniture. And we were thinking, whoa, we're probably going to be at max capacity already. And then a third pallet comes out.
Yeah, it was a lot. Luckily, Sam, I think, was a good Tetris player, because we ended up getting it packed. We got in the car and drove over to a secondhand office furniture reseller, I guess.
Yeah, we wanted to buy some Herman Millers. We saw it on Facebook Marketplace, and these chairs we're sitting on right now, great ergonomics, and they sell them in bulk at these
for very cheap
at these secondhand warehouses. I guess they collect them.
So we got back into Tallahassee, and we knew that we had just a ton of this IKEA furniture that needed to be built. It would take a lot of manpower. So we called up our friends and family and said, "Hey, we'll get y'all some pizza, but let's have a party, a build party."
Yeah, we called it a build party. We had everybody come over, starting at like 5 o'clock to work, working till whenever. But everybody was assigned a certain furniture. We ate. We hung out with each other, and they all built the furniture. And Ethan's only job that night was to build a new conference table, which didn't work out so well.
Yeah, it went up, like the frame went up, and we were going to wrap it in some plywood, but there's a few difficulties, so it kind of went unfinished for 5 months maybe. And it kind of just now got finished, but it looks good, and we're very happy with it. At least I'm happy with it.
There's a pattern here. This is the second time we're recording this episode. But now we were finding that the walls were empty, blank. We were missing some life. And so we called Hannah, who is our go-to production designer here in Tallahassee, who helps us set decorate. We asked her to come over here to help us with the office. And so she put up behind the scene pictures of us, group pictures from sets. She put up plants around the office, hung up decorations, and she really made it feel like home. And so we really appreciated her doing that. And you know, that big studio that we thought would be a white psych with blackout walls, we had to redesign that space too to be a multi-purpose space for people to use in the future between her or other people that we hire. So we gave her the green light to renovate that space to the way she needs it with furniture, and she did great. We decided to host a networking event for other creatives in town as kind of like a unofficial grand opening of Orange Video. Leading up to this, we knew we wanted one big Orange Video sign. In Ethan's mock-up, you'll see that there's a big black Orange Video logo on the orange wall. But as we were getting along and actually deciding on buying and purchasing this sign, we thought that the black would be too polarizing, too stark in the space.
Yeah, and we had people saying, "Oh, go white with the logo," or "Go, the brushed aluminum." But nothing we mocked up looked right. So finally, V had the bright idea to just make it orange.
Yeah, I mean, we have business cards with orange on orange. I thought that there was enough separation, and it looked really sleek, right? Mm-hmm. That same color on same color background, but it ended up looking really great.
And we were really busy at this time last year, so we hosted the event and then had to leave like an hour early. We had to jump on a plane to Boston to go do a shoot.
So we left Hannah and Rob here to mingle and network with people, but we had to leave our own event early. So we got the keys in February 2023, and now it's been an official year, February 2024. We recently built out more storage in our garage to kind of take things that were unorganized, didn't have a place to go, and put it up. The space has grown immensely, and it's been serving the purpose that we initially intended it to be for. There's still a lot of work to be done, small details that we still need to finish, or ways we can make the space more efficient for our line of work. And as we grow and continue to grow, we want to have everybody in here and feel comfortable in here. And so we're figuring what that looks like, what needs to happen, but we are just taking it, one step at a time, one build at a time.
So thank you guys so much for watching. We hope that you found this interesting or learned something new. Feel free to reach out in the comments and ask us questions. We'll be happy to answer them. We'll catch you next time.